Welcome, students. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most important outcomes of democracy. We will explore how a democracy handles the amazing diversity within a nation, and more importantly, how it works to protect the dignity and freedom of every single citizen. So let's start with a very big question, one that affects all of us, especially in a diverse country like India. Just think about it. We have so many different languages, so many religions, and countless cultures. With all these differences, how do we manage to live together as one single nation? Well, the answer to that big question can be found in the principles of democracy itself. In this explainer, we are going to see exactly how democracy provides a special framework that allows different groups not just to coexist, but to do so peacefully and with respect for one another. All right, so first things first, let's try to understand the challenge that almost every modern society today faces. And that challenge is what we call social diversity. You see, differences among people, whether it's the language we speak, the culture we follow, or our religion, these are completely natural and unavoidable. In fact, they make our world so rich and interesting. But sometimes these very differences can also lead to social divisions and even tensions. So it's a fair expectation that any good government should have some way to manage these differences. So, what tools does democracy offer to create a harmonious social life? How does it actually help us manage our conflicts in a peaceful manner? Let's take a closer look. Now, think about the opposite of democracy, a dictatorship. A dictator might try to simply suppress or crush all social differences, trying to force everyone to be the same. But democracy does the exact opposite. It creates procedures and methods to manage competition and negotiate our differences openly. This ability to handle social divisions and conflicts is a definite plus point of democratic governments. So, how does democracy do this? Well, you can think of it as having a toolkit. First, you have elections, which allow for healthy competition for power. Then there is discussion, which means we can have open public debates on any issue. Negotiation helps different groups to talk and find a common ground. And finally, power sharing. Make sure that various social groups are properly represented. Together, these tools reduce the possibility of tensions becoming explosive or violent. But, successfully accommodating so much diversity, it's not that simple. For democracy to really work, it must fulfill two very, very important conditions. We often hear this phrase, right? That democracy is rule by the majority. But let us think a little more deeply about what rule by majority really means in a true democracy. Is it just about having more numbers on one side? You see, for democracy to be truly accommodative, two conditions are absolutely necessary. First, the majority must always be ready to work with the minority. That's the only way the government can represent the general view of the entire population. And second, rule by majority should not become rule by a permanent majority community, like one particular group based on religion, race, or language that is always in power. Let's look at this comparison. In a healthy democracy, the majority is flexible. It keeps changing. Different people and groups can come together to form a majority in different elections or on different issues. This is crucial. Democracy works only when every citizen has a chance of being in the majority at some point in time. If any group is permanently excluded from power simply because of their birth, then democracy is weakened for them. Okay, so we've talked about how democracy accommodates different groups. Now let's shift our focus to something even more fundamental, the value and respect that is given to each and every individual. Managing diversity and resolving conflicts is a huge strength of democracy, no doubt. But its superior claim, its real power, lies in how it treats its citizens as individuals. This idea is really at the very heart of what democracy stands for, the passion for respect and the passion for freedom. These are the foundations on which democracy is built. Every individual wants to be treated with respect. Now, democracies all over the world have recognized, at least in principle, that all individuals deserve to be treated with dignity. But this has not always been easy to achieve in practice. The struggle for dignity, as shown by inspiring figures like Rosa Parks, often requires immense moral courage. Let's take some examples. For centuries, most societies were male-dominated. Women have waged long struggles to gain equal treatment and respect. In our own country, India, democracy has strengthened the claims of disadvantaged and discriminated castes, giving them a platform to fight for equal status and opportunity.
Now, this doesn't mean that discrimination has completely disappeared, but the most important point is that democracy gives the legal and moral basis to fight against.
So this recognition of individual dignity, it brings about a very important change in people. It actually transforms them. Let's see how. Let's understand these two words. In a non-democratic setup, people are subjects. They are ruled over by someone, and they are expected to simply obey without any questions. But democracy transforms a person from the status of a subject into that of a citizen. A citizen is an individual who can participate in the nation's life and hold the rulers accountable. So how does this transformation happen? It happens because citizens start to develop awareness. They become aware of their rights, and they develop the ability to expect more from their government. They learn to look critically at those in power. In fact, the fact that people can complain and demand more from their government is actually a testimony to the success of democracy. And one of the most powerful tools in the hands of a citizen is the right to vote. Studies show that most individuals today believe that their vote makes a real difference, not just to how the government is run, but also to their own self-interest. This belief is a very powerful outcome of democracy. So after this entire discussion, what is the final verdict on democracy's performance? What is its real achievement? Let's take a realistic view. It is very important to have realistic expectations. We must understand that democracy is not a magic wand. Its greatest achievement is not that it creates a perfect society which is free from all conflicts or all inequalities. That's not what it does. So what is its real success? Its real success is that it creates a system that protects the dignity and freedom of every individual, a system that provides methods and tools for diverse people to coexist peacefully, and most importantly, a system that gives its citizens the space to fight for their rights and make their society better. So as we conclude this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. Thinking about everything we've discussed today, how does democracy empower you, personally, to claim your dignity and your freedom in your own daily life? Thank you for joining me.